brutal hike in today. It took me 5.5 hours to get back here. We did lose an hour because a mile in I realized I forgot something important, so I had to go back. Beside the point. Man, I am exhausted.
So, in case y'all missed episode 1, we hiked all the way up to the top of the, we'll call it a ridge. It's actually on the side of the mountain. There's a ridge, and we kind of hiked up to that point, and I felt like that was a really, really good spot. And come to find out, it is a really, really good spot. But I hiked my stuff. I hiked up there. I set my Argali Absaroka tent up. I stashed all my gear. I hiked all the way back to my truck, and I spent the night there simply because it was getting late in the evening. Next morning, I'm getting loaded up, but my body's hurting, my back's hurting, my knees hurting, and so I procrastinate. But I eventually get up to the top of the mountain. Now, 5.5 hours later, and I start cutting wood. And ultimately, at this point in time, it's kind of getting to the evening again. I'm really exhausted. Very exhausted, to say the least, that I just start figuring out what's for dinner.
Beef stroganoff. I tell you, it smells good. Okay. All right, that's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I was kind of like, let's get it out of the way. But, man, now I'm kind of mad that I ate it now because it's good. This is so good. Like, so good. What I have found is that with any of the freeze-dried stuff, you heat up all the water they ask you to, but add it a little at a time because, yeah, it doesn't always need everything. This is really good. I'm probably just really hungry. I don't care. It's really good. Probably one of my favorites now, as far as peaks go.
So let's talk a little bit here at where we're at mentally and where we're at physically. Really, truly, mentally, physically. I mean, mentally, I feel great. Mentally, I'm thinking, okay, I'm in the spot. I'm in the zone. This is going to be it. This is my year. But physically, I'm hurting. Physically, I'm exhausted. Now, granted, what I have learned, and I think that I really try to learn something every day. Either about myself, something I'm doing, whatever. I like to learn, and elk hunting is really a new adventure for me. I didn't grow up in I didn't grow up in states where you can hunt like this. I grew up where you sit at a feeder and the corn goes off, and I find that I am looking for an adventure. I am looking for something harder. I'm trying to challenge myself, and I'm all about challenging myself, and this is one of those challenges. Now, granted, when you talk Western big game hunting, I've been going every year, but just kind of like, I hate to say it, but we drive down the roads, we glass, and then we try to find them, and then we go in after them. I didn't like that because I feel like you were competing with everybody else on the road. So I really wanted to backpack in, go in several miles, go in several miles and really challenge yourself and be out there and be in the mix as you go. And I really felt like that was a good choice. That was a good decision. And man, we were in the mix. I've seen animals every day. I've seen signs of animals. It was amazing. Now, what I will say is this, is that what I've learned is there's 3 stages. There's stage 1, where you have that backpack hunter that just really overloads and takes 2-3 trips and really exhausts himself or herself to the point where you're exhausted. That's kind of where I was at on this trip. I really had too much gear. I gotta admit, after being out there, I'm like, I don't need this, I don't need that, I don't need this. And that's where I was at on this trip. I really had too much gear, and it really overexerted myself, and I was just physically hurting. I was tired. The first trip up there was exhausting, but I made it. It was great. But then when I had to do it again, the next morning I was procrastinating because I was like, I don't want to do that again. But I had to. I had no choice. My gear is on the mountain. I got to go back. And so I went back, but this time I really probably, if I would have brought everything I really wanted to, it'd have been 3 trips. But I was like, no, if I can't make it on the second trip, it ain't coming with. I don't care. So what I did is I made my second trip. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to go back this summer. At least that's the plan. I'm going to go bare minimal, whatever I need, just bare minimal to get by. Now, granted, when I say there's 3 stages, well, from what I've seen is that there's a stage number 1 where you overtake. You take too much, and then there's stage 2 where you take not enough. What that means is you kind of put your own health at risk because you don't take the minimum requirements because you're trying to go in light. So I need to bypass that stage and go into stage 3 where I take everything I need to thrive, and that's it. Bare minimal, everything I need to survive or thrive, I should say. And so I need to try to find my way from phase 1 to phase 3 without putting myself at risk. And so that's where I'm at right now mentally, is I've got to get my backpack game on point, and that's where I'm at, is what it is. And I'm not afraid to admit that, hey, I need to be better in this situation. I need to be better. That's what it is. But regardless, I do apologize for my day 2 video. It is short simply because I've lost some footage, so I am doing some add-in to kind of fill y'all out so y'all know where I'm at. And but regardless, day 3 will be a lot more video of the mountains. I do apologize, but I do love you guys. I'll see you next week.